Limited liability companies are perhaps the most popular way for new businesses to organize these days. They combine the tax advantages of a partnership with the reduced personal risk of a corporation. In most states, when setting up an LLC, you are not required to have an operating agreement, which is like a contract among the LLC's members. Nonetheless, it is a good idea to do so. First of all, operating agreements prevent disputes. Like traditional kinds of contracts, one of the most important things an operating agreement can do is prevent disputes from occurring before things get heated or the stakes get too high. This is especially important for LLCs, which by design are intended for smaller outfits, often formed by people who know one another. One common dispute in LLCs concerns contribution requirements. Once the company gets going, how much money is each member expected to contribute? An operating agreement can make this explicit and clarify things like whether labor can be substituted for financial contributions. Another reason to have an operating agreement is to avoid getting stuck with default rules. Most states don't require you to have an operating agreement, but they all have rules that will govern your company if you don't. These are known as the default rules, and because they are meant to be general, they probably aren't as beneficial for the specific needs of your company as those you could create in an operating agreement on your own. Similarly, having a written operating agreement can reduce the chance that you'll get stuck with rules you didn't envision. Most states allow operating agreements that are implied or oral, not just those that are written down. By not having a formally written down operating agreement, you could be at risk of being bound by the rules that other people you work with want, but that you never intended. Say you're setting up the company with a few other people, and before you open for business, there's a disagreement about voting rules for the company. You believe it's resolved and never write down an operating agreement. Later in a disagreement with the other members, some of them have different ideas about how voting should work. Without a written agreement, there is a chance that a court could say that the rules advocated by the other members were part of an oral operating agreement. Finally, having an operating agreement can help you protect your limited liability. Limited liability is one of the benefits LLCs borrow from corporations. It means that in case something was to go wrong with the company, your personal assets can't be used to settle a debt, only company's assets. At least this is how it's supposed to work. Sometimes a court will allow personal assets to be reached. This often happens when a company is being used as the alter ego of people who own it. Having an operating agreement can prevent this from happening and protect your limited liability. It can set out formal requirements like periodic meetings that show that the company isn't just a ruse, and it can specify what purposes company funds can be used for, which can prevent other LLC members from mingling personal and company expenses, a big red flag for removing limited liability. We're eForms, the biggest online database of legal documents. We'll show you how to draw up an operating agreement for free at the link below, with no membership or credit card requirement. Click the link and get started on yours today.